The Rams win it 27-24. Tough night, Tampa Tom.
Brady's made a career out of moments like that. Why do you think he hasn't played his best football against the better teams in the NFC so far?
Still trying to figure that out. I mean, at times we look really, really good, and then there are times when we obviously don't. I felt very, very comfortable in the 2-minute drive until that throw.
We've had some chances, definitely. Receivers are doing a great job, and I got to get them the ball, so got to figure out how to do that.
Downfield and throwing 15 yards downfield or more. This was easily his worst game of the year. 1 for 9 in those situations with 2 picks. This year, when he has a completion percentage of 45% on those throws, the team is 7-0. When it's below that number, they're 0-4. So the struggles really continue. And let's bring the crew in here. And Jeff Saturday, I'm starting with you. I don't know that anyone in America didn't think when Brady ran out of that field at the end of that game that he was going to find a way to win it. What did you see from him there and all night?
Yeah, he can't make the plays that the team needs for him to make, and he proved that last night. When Bruce Arians is talking about how comfortable he is going into that, I'm not really sure why. I mean, there were plays early in the game that showed you that he really wasn't on point, and I'll show you the plays I'm talking about. Listen, this is one-on-one coverage. You have your best guy, Evans, on Ramsey. He throws the ball out of bounds, Greeny. I mean, look, at least give your guy a shot to make this play, the first true deep ball, and that you throw it out of bounds. That does not give me a ton of confidence. And then right here, this is out in the left flats. I mean, this looks like me throwing it from third base to first base, right? I'm hitting the freaking pitcher mound. I mean, how bad is that? This is not a guy that, I mean, like when you just talked about it, he was 0 for 6 on those throws of 20 yards or more last night. He's getting back to that point where he's not making the throws. There's no confidence in those deep balls. This offense has to have those plays if they want to be successful in the playoffs.
It felt like a little bit of a shocker there. Greg, through a quarterback's eyes, what did you see?
Oh, Brady, guys, it was not good from him by any stretch. But part of the problem is the fact that the pressure that they were applying up front along the defensive line was absolutely atrocious. I mean, he has guys in his lap, and he used to be able to pull off those throws that you just talked about, even with guys in his lap. Look, the storybook on Brady has always been, hey, move him off the spot, see if you can hit him. He's going to be a different guy if you could do both those things. Well, he used to still be able to execute those throws maybe half the time. Now, he misses a throw, he has to adjust his arm angle, and it's brutal. But you look at the third quarter, guys, first 20 plays of the game, really nice. The third quarter, y'all, I thought I was watching the Chicago Bears.
Ooh.
It was absolutely atrocious offensively. The plan was bad. They weren't smart with protections. Brady had no opportunities. And as soon as they took Jalen Ramsey and put him on Mike Evans, they ramped up the physicality that you saw from the Rams secondary, and they had absolutely no answer. I just really, really hated their second half plan and their inability to make adjustments. Brady was off the mark. Bruce Arians was off the mark. The receivers couldn't separate, and the offensive line couldn't protect. But other than that, it was a pretty solid night.
Great. So I'm thinking back over the course of the season, the primetime games they've had this year. They lose to the Bears on a Thursday night. They get obliterated by New Orleans. They barely beat the Giants. They may have gotten a fortunate bad call at the end to hold on. And then last night, they lose here. And Dan Graziano, you were telling me that you were texting with some scouts and others watching. What were they telling you they were seeing?
Yeah, one thing that stood out to me, somebody said that the Buccaneers coaches are not doing a good enough job on early downs of putting the Bucs in position to avoid third and long, and that they're impatient on offense and it's just pure drop back, and they just didn't see a lot of creativity from them. So I think people are surprised by that, because you think about Bruce Arians as a guy that can be creative on offense and put his guys in position to succeed, but the thought around the league is maybe they're just not doing enough and asking maybe a little too much of Tom Brady to just drop back from center and fire it downfield over and over again. I mean, you're watching the Rams doing pre-snap motion all night, and you really don't see much of that from Tampa Bay. And I think people are surprised that there's not more interesting elements to that offense.
So, Jeff, let's talk about that. As you're watching it, how much of it is players and how much of it is plays? How much of it is Brady and how much of it is what they're not doing right to put him in a position to succeed?
Well, I think Dan makes a great point about putting them in the position, but at the end of the day, when the plays are there to be made, you have to make them. And the underthrows for the interceptions that Brady is doing, it's one thing to miss a throw. It's another thing to turn the ball over, right, and not protect the football. And everybody understands Bruce Arians has always been a 5-step, 7-step, hey, we're going to chuck that thing down the field and make plays. When Brady went there, he understood what was going to be asked of him. The problem is if you're going to miss, you can't miss with a turnover, right? And so there's things he's not seeing in the defensive backfield, but Bruce Arians is going to have to help Tom Brady because he's showing you it's going to look like in the future. You've got to give him more intermediate routes. You've got to help him out. And here's the other point, Green. They got to run the football. You know, they bring in Rojo and they have Fournette. At some point, you got to establish a run and be physical to take the pressure off of Brady somewhat.
So they find themselves, at this point, the Buccaneers in a whole world of hurt. In the NFC South, that feels as though it may be getting hopelessly away now. They're just battling to make sure they get into the playoffs. That's where we wake up this morning, coming off of the wrap-up of Week 11 on the NFL. But there's much more to talk about. And Graziano, let me start it with you. Let's run the hurry up through a bunch of different issues, and let's start with the Bears. Who's their quarterback this week?
Well, they don't know yet, Greeny, and Bears head coach Matt Nagy said he has to get everybody on the field tomorrow, Wednesday, and see how healthy they are. We know Nick Foles hurt his hip at the end of the last game they played 2 weeks ago. We know Mitchell Trubisky's been out with a shoulder injury, so the health could make the decision for Nagy. If they're both healthy, he's got a tough call. May switch back to Trubisky just to get a little spark for the offense. Arizona knows who its quarterback is. It's Kyler Murray. They're playing in Foxborough against the Patriots this week. Kyler Murray hurt his shoulder in their last game, finished the game, and the expectation is that he will be good to go this week. Head coach Cliff Kingsbury said yesterday they're going to get him out on the field today, practice today, and make sure he can cut it loose. That's a quote from Kingsbury, so we'll see. But the expectation is Kyler should be fine for this week's game against the Patriots. The Baltimore Ravens will not be fine at running back Thursday night against Pittsburgh. J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram both tested positive for the coronavirus, according to Baltimore coach John Harbaugh. That means they have to be out for 10 days at least, and that means they won't be able to play on Thursday against Pittsburgh. That Baltimore running back room going to be very, very thin for a game the Ravens absolutely have to win. And looking ahead, they play next Thursday too, so those guys would be in danger of possibly missing 2 games depending on do they show symptoms, how long it's been since the test, etc.
Let's take a look at some of the numbers here. The Ravens lead the NFL in rushes per game and yards per game, and Dobbins and Ingram are a huge part of that, around 42% of the team's total carries and yards. Here's John Harbaugh, still confident that his team can stay aggressive on the ground Thursday night.
The run game is always a group effort. All 11 guys are involved in that, certainly, and I'm sure we'll run the ball on Thursday night.
You know, people say all the time, you got to trust the process, but we've been working for so long. It's going to happen. I'm telling y'all, it's about to happen. You know, I'm confident in this team. We just got to keep.